Hey everyone, welcome to TekEVO Soccer Talks. I'm Evan Butler.
And I'm Tony Porch.
I'm Jalen.
All
So
right.
let's jump right to our CAP members who recently graduated and made his final college decision. CAP ID number 1142 goes by the name of Jalen Alvarado. Jalen saw much success throughout the high school. Can you tell us, Jalen, just a bit about your success and just tell us about your success throughout your high school career?
Well, I had a rough start. I didn't make the team my freshman year, and I took that as a lesson and continued on and basically watched the players that made the team and everything, especially in my position as a center back, and learned from the mistakes I made and continued the process. Made JV my sophomore year, started getting picked for varsity junior year, and eventually through the journey became a varsity starting captain actually. And so I guess I've had more personal success by learning lessons through the trial. But in general, I had a good run through high school. Final four my junior year. Didn't finish where we wanted to senior year, but that was a great run too. Number 3 in the nation at one point. Number 1 in the state almost the entire time. So it was good. A lot of, like you said, success throughout high school, especially from a personal level and experience.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's important what you said. Like you just, I mean, I dealt with that my whole career too. Just times that I failed, times I didn't make teams. You can't like, every coach won't like you. It's a game of opinions. So it's relative to that, but it's important to realize that it's a process. It's a learning process. It's not a failure. It's just a learning process. And that's pretty much what a big thing we like to address is that's the evolution of the player. That's where TekEVO really came from. And we always felt strongly about the evolution and understanding that perspective.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have had a good run with high school and your club. Your club team's done well too. So, I mean, I think it's to be commended of what you've done and where you've come from. I think you've grown. So that's definitely something to be commended of.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so now, Jalen, you can tell us about your recent final decision amongst all your multiple college options and offers that you received. So if you could just talk briefly about just what that was like and what you pretty much came up with.
Well, just like the high school thing, it was a rough journey, especially because I'm military, so I was relying a lot on my dad's GI Bill. And halfway through the process of picking which college, we found out that fell through. So that had a big impact on which college I should pick or what I should even do. And I even came to some conclusion that maybe soccer wasn't for me or that it just wouldn't work out. But I'm Christian, so I put my faith in God, and I felt like He had a plan for me, and everything worked out. I had through TekEVO many colleges to look at and basically go through the pros and cons of multiple different colleges and from campus and location to the amount of money and everything. And so we basically narrowed it down to a couple, and then through coincidence and through Tony, we started looking into colleges in Texas, and then the snowball started rolling. We found a college in Corpus Christi that basically had everything that I wanted and would fit for my situation in terms of price and level of play and everything. So the process was long and hard, from arguments with family to self-frustration. But like I said, having faith in God and everything basically got me where I am today. Like you said, committing to Coastal Bend College and Corpus, and everything worked out. So it was a long process, but I'm glad where I am now through TekEVO and through just the journey itself.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, definitely the recruiting process is a long and complicated process where it does happen to a lot of players where they start questioning, am I good enough? Why am I not being seen? Especially even as a center back, you're not the one scoring all the goals. You know, you don't get the stats like a lot of the players, like a lot of the offensive players get these stats where the defenders may be overlooked. So it definitely helps to have someone on your side and someone to kind of guide you through that process.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the good thing about Jalen's case basically was it took a little bit of time, but through us three, we were able to, and including mom, we were able to come up with something that would guide you through your major, right? Your first 2 years are your basic anyway, but it was important that we looked at demographics, location, obviously the amount of cost or the financial, as well as do they have what your interested major is. Obviously, again, being your basic, that could change, but I think that was very important for us throughout all the colleges that we looked at, that they at least had your major and some financial stability. But I'm proud as punch with the whole process with you, Jalen, just because you understood where we were going. You understood it could take time. You understood that it's your decision no matter what happened. We were all in your corner, but it was your decision. And I'm pleased and excited about your career and what's to come. Sure, you will start at a junior college, but this school that you are going to will play so many very quality four-year schools that I believe among the offers that we did get at four-year in Division II and NAIA, there will be more options for you at the four-year to go into your major. So I'm pleased at the scenario and what has happened with you in this case. It's worked out well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as much as we may have helped, you still need to, congratulate yourself. And I congratulate you on the big offer and your final decision into kind of the next chapter in your life. I know my experience with college soccer was, it was great. I mean, I'll never forget it. These will be some of the best years of your life for sure. So, as we move forward, you're definitely gonna love the whole process in itself, just playing college soccer and developing that way. So, but yeah, just to continue, what were some areas or parts of the recruiting process that helped you reach your college recruitment goals that you had?
Probably just the support. Support in any aspect of life is obviously great to have, but like you said, through my mom, through you guys, I guess the most important part for me was just, like I said, the support, the push, because I can have as much drive, but if I don't have the cards to play, then I can't really do much, So having you guys and having my mom and family and everything had a humongous role in not only my decision, but me being who I am. And I don't know, it just played out well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I could add one thing, that's one of the reasons why we picked you, because not only you could play on the field, but your character and your mentality is what we are very fond of. I think it's something to be able to say you don't know it all, right? And I do the same thing, and the same thing with Evan. We don't profess to know it all, but with all of us together and where we've been, we can help players out like you. But the main point here is that the player understands that we can help. It's not something that we will tell them what to do. But I think a key point here is and valuable about what you said is that you do have people in your corner, and we're here to help you. In a situation where you guys were less notable on, just because you haven't been in the process. So I can't say enough how pleased as punch I am of you and your mom, your backing, and how well it went. It's not going to go great for us and for everybody all the time, but if we can all understand each other's roles and moving forward, it comes out like this and it comes to positive. So again, I commend you for that.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, if we could stem off of that a little bit, and I'd like to get your mom involved in this question as well. Like, if there was one thing that you actually learned that you didn't previously know about this process, like obviously, there's so many different parts.
You there? It looks like Evan just got cut off here. Let's just bear with him here 1 second here. You there, Evan?
Yep, I'm there.
Why don't you pick up again with that? You were cut off, so we didn't hear your question.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if there was one thing that you learned in the college recruitment process, one thing we may have advised you on, one thing you learned through your own discovery, and I'd like your mom to maybe even tune into this question too. She can kind of give her 2 cents because she was a part of the process as well. But if there's one thing that you can maybe give insight on to another player in this process, what would you say?
Well, my mom just trying to go get her charger
Okay.
for me.
No
But
problem.
for myself and what I learned through the process is patience. And I've always been a patient person, but I didn't know how much patience or like how much dedication to patience it takes through the process. And I kind of walked into it blindly, thinking like, oh, you know, like things will happen. But through to colleges and visiting colleges and everything, and the process getting more frustrating and more frustrating, you can kind of lose your patience and I guess mental in the situation. And I always remember, and I'll take it with me wherever I go. It was one phone call that I had with Tony, and Tony said everything will click and everything will mesh. And at the time, like as a 17-year-old, it's like, yeah, like I've heard it before.
Yeah.
Coming from experience from him, he already knows. And so like I took it like with a grain of salt almost, you know. But to see the cards that were dealt and to watch them fold and play out like they did, is just a lesson in itself that having patience through the process plays out so well. Not rushing your decision, actually like thinking about the pros and cons of different colleges and just having a straight head through the whole process. And I can't say it enough, just patience, patience, patience is such a lesson to learn, you know? So
Yeah, no,
that was
I
my
remember.
lesson that I learned.
Yeah, I remember conversations with you that we had with colleges pushing you and pushing you and saying, just under duress, trying to get you to commit, to like it's getting late. There's no more money. What are you waiting for? Blah blah blah. And that's what they'll do. The college recruiting process it's no joke. If they want a player, they're gonna do everything they can to do it. And I kept telling you, look. And that's what I like about you. I told you, look, it's your decision. Don't feel rushed, and I think that's a key point. And Evan went through the same thing.
Yeah.
But I think that's a key point in making a firm decision. And what do you think, Jenny? What are your thoughts with regards to the question?
The question was what we learned through the process and what we took from the process.
Yeah, if there's one thing you learned in the process, if you can kind of give some insight to anyone else in that process, one thing you really learned that you can look back and say, oh, yeah, this was one thing that was very important in the process.
I learned to trust you guys, which is major for me when it comes to Jalen. Of course, I always think I'm not perfect, but I do everything with his interest in mind at first,
Of course.
He's my number one. So in giving that to you guys, because that's his future that we're talking about. And, of course, I want to be able to not so much have the say so, because he's getting older and everything, and he needs to make decisions for himself. But just being able to know that whatever you guys talk about and decide, I know it's the right thing because you have his best interest in mind. And that was major for me, just trusting you guys, which I do. Absolutely.
Yeah, and we appreciate that trust for sure. That's the only way everything works out like it needs to.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
think it's a full trust thing. I mean, if it's not any other way, then I'm not sure it could work as well. I'm
Right.
not saying every case is going to be like this great, and but we're prepared to do whatever we need to do to make it happen for you, as well as, or excuse me, to make options for you. That's what we do. We
Yeah.
help to provide options for you, and then you and your parents and family make the decisions that you can. Obviously, we could advise you as to been there, done that kind of thing. But again, it's one of those things that it worked out well. We're happy that you were able to be placed, as well as we're very happy the parents are on the same page as us, because that's key too.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
and from the jump, from the first, I mean, I've known Evan for a while, and from the first conversation on with either one of you about this subject, it was okay for me,
Right, right.
because you just know the feeling,
Yeah.
the
It's good people. It's
yeah,
good people.
absolutely.
Like after the first phone call my mom had with you guys, and you guys hung up, she was like, I don't know what it is about them, but like, they're just good people.
It's the right decision
And
to work
so,
with you guys. Absolutely.
Good.
Well,
Well, that makes
thank
us,
you so much for that.
again, that makes us happy, because we're doing our job. I mean, again, it's one of those things. It's what we do is not easy, but we've developed a blueprint, so to speak, where with Evan and I, and able to work well with each other and off of each other, the whole process, it helps. And what we want to do is be able to offer this process to any and every player, at every college, prospect. Not that they will all go and play college, but just to know what options that you have, that makes a big difference in moving forward with a career, or being able to say, look, I can bow out and this is all I want to do, so I think it's good.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it definitely helps to kind of have all those options laid out in front of you, on paper, and then actually kind of create an actionable plan to, to reach these options, and to find out where you really would fit in the best. So it's definitely important. It's a big,
But that
big
can only
step.
happen when you listen, and that's exactly what you guys do. And that is so major. Everything just comes full circle. You listen and you provide exactly, what he's interested in. And then he has not one, not two, but multiple options, and then you work with him and work with me. And it's just amazing. The whole
Yeah.
experience has been very educating and easy from a parent's perspective.
Yeah, I mean, thank you guys so much for that trust. It definitely helped so much. And I mean, just to kind of wrap things up, like, do you feel confident that TekEVO would be there in the future, if you should need so? Obviously, you're in a 2-year college at this step in your process, and as you continue to develop, whether it be 1 or 2 years later, you're gonna have to look at these 4-year options as well. So, what would you say about your confidence into the next step in your career?
Definitely, to answer the question, I feel that going into, because it's a big step for me, especially, everybody's story is different, but for me, having to go 12, 13, 14 hours away from home is a big step, being by myself and everything. And if I can't call my mom, for whatever reason, I know I can call one of you two or anybody from TekEVO for advice, and especially with the process. Like you said, it's a 2-year school, and so I'm gonna need some help afterwards, or I'm gonna have to sit at a table and look at where I go from here after the 2 years are done. And like I said, to answer your question, yes, I definitely think that you guys will be there for me, not just as advisors, but it's a friend vibe. You know, it's like family. You know, that I can always call you guys for advice, or for, even if it's not about soccer, what I should do, or with whatever's going on, homework. So it's more of a family kind of thing, and so definitely, like I said, everybody's story is different. With mine, I'm gonna need people there, and knowing that you guys are available at all times, day and night, is great to know.
Yeah, well, I mean, just to interlude real quick, it doesn't stop there. You know, you're still in the program for your 4 years, and even after. You know, if it's something that, you know, transpires after college, there's options there as well. You know, so, you know, this is one thing about this whole process, is that one thing that I wanted to say real quick is that with I don't know, 4 or 5 other options for 4 year schools, right? You went with a junior college, so for anybody that's in the future that comes in our program, yeah, we'll give them options, but it's what the best fit option is for you. It may not be go to a 4 year. A 4 year could have given you a full ride too, but if you pick the junior college, that's your best fit, you know? So my thing is that moving forward in your career as a student athlete, no matter what, if you were a 2 year or even a 4 year, we would be with you, you know, and you're darn right about being family. We consider you family, and that wouldn't change.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's funny that, like, you were in my shoes, like, when I was in high school. This is why it gives me so much pleasure to do what I'm doing with Tony and TekEVO, is that I was in your shoes, and Tony was always a mentor. He was always an ear to listen to, whether it be just drama in my life, or whether it be soccer. I may be having a bad game, a bad week. Just that mentorship, and that just that family vibe, like you said, like, you know, try to be as personal and you know, like a big brother sort of thing. So it was always very helpful for me in my mental evolution, and really understanding the process. Not the actual steps in the process, but even just the whole general process of life in general. It just helps to kind of have someone who has experienced all this before.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's very cool. You have anything, Tony?
Oh no, I mean, I think I could keep going on and on and on, you know, but I think we pretty much summed it all up. And again, I congratulate you, Jalen, and Jenny, your Miss Alvarado, for you know, what's about to transpire, and I definitely look forward to your future, and ours as you know, advisors and friends to you.
I
It's going to be.
appreciate everything you guys have done, and I'm so grateful and thankful that you guys, you know, are in both of our lives and in this journey.
Yeah,
it's deeper than soccer, you know, and
is.
that's where it matters.
Yeah.
Because before soccer and everything, I know that I can count on you guys as just people. You know, you guys are more than just the guys to call for some coach advice, or, you know,
Right.
it's friends. So
yeah,
it's
love
really
that.
Nice. That's nice to hear, bro.
Love that for sure. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. It was honestly a pleasure working with you guys, and it'll be a pleasure continuing to work with you guys. So yeah, thank you for this, for doing this podcast with us and this interview. It helps us. It helps the next player who sees this. I think that patience advice that you said was key. It was huge for someone listening to this, because they got to really understand that perspective, because it is difficult, right? So that was awesome that you said that, for sure.
I see you, Tony.
Yeah. Let's go in the office.
Hyping it up.
It's funny.
Yeah. Cool. Well, just for anyone watching, you can follow us at TekEVO Soccer on Instagram, or just TekEVO on Facebook. And if you have any questions about our college advisory program, or even just anything soccer in general, you can visit TekEVOsoccer.com or just direct message us on our social media.
Good. And Jalen, why don't you give your Instagram out so people can follow you in your next ventures?
My Instagram is my first name, Jalen, Jalen, Riddim, Riddim. Simple as that. I pretty much just post just my journey. Definitely be posting my process through the summer and training and just the whole college process. So yeah, if you follow, I'll definitely keep you posted.
Cheers.
Awesome, man.
Cool. All right. Well, congratulations, and we appreciate you guys.
Yep. Congrats, man.
Thank you.
All right. All the best.